Welcome to We Chats, a space for talking about health and well-being. Welcome. My name is Will, and I'm a specialist dietitian and co-founder of We Nutrition. And here at We Chats, we love having relaxed and fun conversations about health and well-being, the research of nutrition, and the experience of people. And we bring together the expertise of people working in the health and well-being industry. Welcome to this episode where we're going to be chatting about our nutrition forecast for 2026 with Reshma Patel. Now, thank you so much for joining us this evening, Reshma.
Oh, thank you for having me, Will. It's always a pleasure to be on with you.
Oh, well, long-time viewers and listeners will know that you and I love to have a chat. But for people who are only just meeting you today, can you please share a little bit about how you've ended up being in this space, please?
So I'm a specialist weight management dietitian. That is my specialty. I've always worked in the space of weight management, and naturally diabetes falls under that as well. So I end up looking after clients that are diabetic or have other clinical conditions linked to obesity. And we both have a wonderful remission program, which we have done outside of, in Harrods. And I also now have a clinic on Harley Street. So we'll move our remission program to Harley Street.
Excellent. Fantastic. Fantastic. And we'll make sure that, by the end of today, people know where to find you because if anybody isn't following Reshma's Instagram account at the moment, please, 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 as soon as you stop listening to this, go and find her on Instagram because every morning I wake up and I go, what's Resh up to today? It's fantastic. There's so much going on. But yeah, highly recommend. So today, we're going to be talking about the nutrition forecast, and we're going to break it down into three different areas. So, we're going to be talking about things that we want to leave behind in 2025. We're going to make some predictions for nutrition, health, and well-being for 2026. And we're going to share some of our top tips for psychological hacks for sustaining those changes into the new year and beyond. So, Resh, my first question to you,
Yeah,
what would you like to leave behind in 2025 when it comes to nutrition, health, and well-being?
I think I'd really like to leave the conversation around protein behind.
Uh-huh.
I know it's such a, everyone thinks protein is a be all and end all, but as a nation, we are not struggling with protein intake. Like, we're really not. And to be loading people with extra protein, it's a bit of chaos. Now we have ranges in all supermarkets that says protein on them, and it's
Mhm.
extremely misleading because sometimes if you compare the same protein yogurt to a standard yogurt, you actually realize that there's very little protein difference, but the protein yogurt now has 10 other ingredients added to it, which could potentially cause harm. So for me, that whole protein and having high protein yogurts and high protein breads and high protein anything just needs to be outdated news.
I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. And I think there's something there as well about forgetting about real food, isn't
Yeah.
there? This protein label is a fantastic example because I feel like it's a bit of a marketing gimmick. It's a little
Yeah.
bit like the superfood label that we saw a few years ago.
Yeah.
And really, when they say it's superfood, they're saying it's super priced.
Yes, definitely. Because if you put a tiny bit of, I don't know, some sort of goji berry extract in food,
Mhm.
that does not make it a superfood. It's a superfood in a very large quantity and dose, which most of us would not take in the day, let alone in a week. So
Mhm.
it's just not, there are superfoods and we know that. I would say the only food I'd give the superfood label to is anything dark, because
Mhm.
it does have good polyphenols, antioxidants, and the whole of the berry family. I'm going to give it to them. They've done incredibly well. So all these blueberries, blackberries, they really nailed it. They're great. But anything else, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it behind.
Excellent. I love that. I love that. And well done to the Berry family. They've done
Yes.
really well. Oh, fantastic. Well, I was having a little think about this, and one of the things that I would like to leave behind in 2025 is the guilt and the shame and the stigma around weight loss
Oh
injections.
my God, yes.
You
Yes.
know, I work a lot in this space, and I speak to lots of people that are using weight loss injections. Um, and then they go and speak to other people who have miraculously, all of a sudden, lost a significant amount of weight.
Yeah.
And we all know what's going on, but it's
Yeah.
just that no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
And I,
I feel so incredibly passionate about this.
mm,
It's a tool that was there. If I want to compare it to something else, it's like when we get unwell and we take medication, there's no stigma attached to it. If
mm,
someone is trying to have a baby and they end up going through IVF,
mm,
nowadays there's no stigma attached to that.
mm,
But when they're losing weight and they're taking it, it's almost like you cheated your way through it. Now,
mm,
I've got clients that have started weight training 5 days a week. They were not training and they went to training 5 days a week. They're on the drugs and they're working at it beautifully. They are asking us to revamp their food, their nutrition, how
mm,
they're eating, how they're living. And
mm,
they've got a new lease of life. Like I've seen a personality in these people that I've never seen before. And I've known these people for 10 years nearly. And
mm,
now that woman or man that comes out and speaks to me, it's so different. But even them are like, oh, I shouldn't have done it this way. I probably should have just, did the exercise in the first place. And I'm like, no, we probably still wouldn't have got the same result.
mm,
This is a tool that is so necessary, and the stigma around it has to be taken out. And I just don't know how we do that, but it does have to be because people need to feel confident in these injections are there for a reason and
mm.
they are there to support you, and then you can carry on the journey.
Absolutely. And I think that's it's such a beautiful way to frame it that it is a tool.
Yeah.
And I would quite often say to people, listen, if your friend or a loved one had a headache, would you deny them pain relief? No. You'd say, you know what, maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you
Yeah.
didn't get enough sleep. That's not going to help right now. Let's take some pain relief and, just be more mindful of hydration, be more mindful of sleep. Maybe think about stress management a little bit differently. But I think when the shame and the guilt get connected, it doesn't allow us to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's what really frustrates me
Yeah.
because the ability to advance is there, and sometimes it's just being held back. So that is what I would like to get rid of and leave in 2025.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you were thinking about leaving in the year gone by?
I've had so many companies contact me around collagen.
Mm,
I'm so done with the word collagen.
really?
Yeah. The reason is, I think, okay, it's the research around collagen is not yet out there. And that's because it's being done. It's not because no
Mm,
one's done it. It's just the evidence is weak. And when we look at collagen, we don't actually see the real life-changing benefit of taking collagen.
mhm,
So we're not going to be pumping money into doing research for something that actually doesn't make that much of a difference. It's a
mhm,
bit like we didn't have a huge amount of studies on creatine, but the ones we had were immaculate, really good. And now we've advanced those studies and we
mhm,
know that creatine makes a difference in Alzheimer's.
mhm,
Given the volume of people that take creatine
mhm,
and the small amount of evidence that we have, it does not match up for me.
mhm,
I don't understand how so many people are taking creatine, yet we've got far more evidence around vitamin D and no one's taking that, but they're
mhm,
taking, sorry, collagen. So I just want to leave that word behind for a little while until we can get some robust evidence to say that this is great for your skin, your hair, your nails, your joints, go and take it.
mhm,
Majority of the population don't have hair, skin, nail, joint problems.
mhm,
There are many problems that we have, but these aren't it. And I
mhm,
just wish collagen, like the companies that sell this stuff, just didn't spend so much money on marketing and advertising. Because
Yeah.
if they spent that money on actual research, you'd realize there's not much out there. So I'm so done with collagen, and so many companies are like, oh, will you endorse it and talk about it? And I'm like, yeah, can you show me all the studies that you've done? And your 500 clients or patients is not. This is not research. This
Mhm.
is someone's opinion.
Mhm. Absolutely. So maybe collagen can come back around in the future, but for
Yeah,
the time being, we're just gonna
parking it.
leave it
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I can't advise anyone on the best collagen out there right now.
Okay. Fantastic. I love that. Thank you. Okay, so we've said what we're going to leave behind in 2025. Now, looking forward, let's do some forecasting. Let's do
Yeah.
some gazing into the future. What do you think are going to be some of the big trends that we see coming up over the next year?
So I think the way we've like got protein on every single packaging, we're going to have
Mhm.
fiber on all the packaging as well. And
Yes.
that's going to
Yeah.
be another conversation of debunking where you'll be like, of course, there's 5 grams of fiber. They've not added that. That already existed in there. They just put the label on it, but it was
Yeah.
probably at the back in the first place. So I think the next craze is going to be fiber. Everyone's talking about it. We've got numerous, everyone's written books about it, but we knew about fiber from day one. That we've known about bowel cancer, bowel diseases, bowel issues. So we've
Mhm.
known about fiber as well.
Mhm.
So I think that's going to be a big thing, and it's going to require, I'd say, dietitians to educate on which products are fiber, high in fiber, which ones actually have just naturally occurring fiber,
Mhm.
and where fiber might be bad for clients. Not everyone's going to adjust to fiber intakes that are higher than 30 grams per day. Your gut's
Mhm.
not going to be able to adjust to that immediately. So if you all of a sudden wake up and think, I'm going to meet my fiber requirement, but you've never met it before,
Mhm.
you're going to have some real tummy troubles.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that fiber is coming into conversation. I don't really remember a fiber craze before. So this is kind of new and exciting, but at the same time, I think you're completely right. There needs to be this, it needs to be done in the right way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the right way by saying stick a fiber label on the product and increase the price.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and it's I think when we do look at certain macronutrients or certain nutrients, we need to look at the bigger picture as well because we know when we focus in on one thing,
Yeah.
usually something else goes
Goes missing.
wrong.
Yeah. I actually clearly remember about 20 years ago, God, when I was at university,
Mm,
when we were doing placements,
mm,
Nestle was a fantastic brand, and they actually got a wheel with fiber on it. And
mm,
yes, it had some of their products on it to
mm,
show how to get 30 grams of fiber. That's literally, we're talking 15, 20 years ago.
mm.
Dietitians were working out using wheels, how to get it. And the wheel fit into the penge, and I'll take it onto the ward with me to
Ah,
check if this person was getting enough fiber. So if they were having cereal, which was quite traditional in the morning,
mm,
then yes, we would think about, how much fiber they're getting. Now, the problem is we've gone away from the culture of having cereal in the morning. We might
mm,
have granola and all of that, but I think most people are done with cereal. So we
mm,
are missing that fiber content. We're a
mm.
nation of nobody wants to eat bread because, it's the evil. So we are missing out on that fiber content even by removing all the bread. So we do need to think about where we're getting this fiber from and how it's coming into your diet and your gut, because the long-term implication of not having fiber is dire.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think bread's going to make a reappearance this year?
That's interesting. I think sourdough's always been around. I
Mm,
think now you can see high fiber breads actually being made and people thinking about adding seeds and, nuts and things like that to bread.
mm,
I get the feeling bread is going to make a comeback, a
mm.
strong comeback.
Excellent. I wonder if, sort of touching on what we were talking about a moment ago, the high fiber bread that we're seeing, I quite often say to people, high fiber bread is just seeded bread.
Yes.
If they put
Yeah.
any if they put any protein supplement in there, you would taste the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so I wonder if the manufacturers that be the big conglomerates, they're going to switch that label around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's I love the idea of having more options. I love the idea of being able to choose lots of different things.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, that's fantastic. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so then I was having a little think about this question, predictions for 2026.
yeah.
And, coming back to Ozempic and
Yep.
Manjaro, I think we've almost had our first wave of people that have used Ozempic and Manjaro for
Yep.
weight loss.
Yep.
And there was a new study that was released in January this year,
Mm,
and it demonstrated, it was a beautiful study, and it pulled together all this research around weight loss injections like Ozempic and Mounjaro, and it showed that once those medicines are stopped, there is a rebound in weight. So
yeah.
people lose weight and then it rebounds.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we're going to have the first wave of people experiencing this, because we've seen it before,
Yeah.
um, but I think now there is like a really solid conversation about that, and the fact that if we are using these as tools, which is
Hmm.
completely fine, let's
Yeah.
use them. There does need to be other changes that go alongside it.
Yeah. So I capture my own data with the clients, and
Mm,
I am now seeing a bit of rebound. And the real issue with rebound is it makes the client or patient go back onto the injection. This is the point where we really have to double down on lifestyle measures to help because it's such a physiological thing, the injection, right? It's actually
mm,
changing the way the physiology of the body works and the way your mind is working. After that, you will go back to what was normal. So I'm not saying you'll just start going back to your bad habits if you had any. I'm saying your appetite will be stimulated. You will desire to eat more. Your body will be able to handle that much. So some rebound is normal and we expect it and we're there for it.
mhm,
But we don't expect you to go back to your original weight plus some. If
mhm,
that's happening, then it's not that it didn't work, but it's whatever practitioner took you through that journey, they didn't do the rewiring with you.
mhm,
And a lot of clients and patients now are worried about what happens when we come off. So there has to be a
mhm,
management pathway. And everything on the news and everything on social media that I hear, everyone saying there's no care, there's no support when we come off the injections.
mhm,
My thing is, who put you on them in the first place?
mhm,
How did you get onto an injection if there was no care pathway that you
mhm,
put in place?
mhm,
So I think this year we're going to see a lot of this didn't work for me, or
mhm,
we didn't get the right support. And we're now going to have to backtrack of where the injection came from, who supported you through that journey, what changes did you make,
mhm,
and why it didn't work for you. Because
mhm,
everything, there's bariatric surgery can be reversed. We see
mhm,
clients in bariatric, so we already know what's going to happen. We do know about the weight gain. We're not new to that because
mhm,
we've done bariatric. So we do know that even when we are stapling your stomach or removing parts of your stomach, you can
mhm.
still regain weight.
Absolutely. And I think this is, I see this in the year ahead. When people are choosing their care provider for weight loss injections, people are going to be more clued in. They're going to be looking at the complete package.
Mhm.
It's not just about how can I get this and when can I get this. It's almost more importantly, what do I get alongside it and after?
Yeah,
Does that work for me? Does it fit in with my lifestyle? Is it in a way that helps me and works for me alongside me rather than against me?
yeah,
So I think, we're going to see this wave of
yes,
regain, but I think in doing that, people are going to be much more clued in the next time around
yeah,
if they
yeah.
decide to go back to it.
So my biggest thing has been this year, after Christmas,
Mm,
the clients that were meant to come off the medication wouldn't come off it. They were like,
mm,
no, 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 I just want to lose the Christmas weight.
mm,
And you could tell from a mental health perspective that they're so reliant on that and they're leaning on it more than they should because
mm,
it's Christmas weight. We also saw clients that come off it go back on a low dose
Mm,
just to lose that weight as well. So I think this microdosing is going to be with us
mm,
for the whole year. We're going to
mhm,
hear about it, we're going to see it, we're going to see the problems with microdosing because now it's so easily available that you
mm,
could just get a quick injection for a couple of weeks, lose that weight that you gained, and then carry on your life. And I feel it's a bit like antibiotics. Just feel like, if you can get it, then you're just going to
mm,
take it because you'll feel better and then you'll get
mm,
on with your life. And all of a sudden you'll realize these dosages might not work for you. It might
mm.
not, your microdosing might stop working.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know from, we've had these medicines for what, 15, 20 years. We know that their effect does wear off.
Yeah,
Um, and I think what's really interesting when I hear you or when you're sharing this with us, um, I know a lot of people don't follow their prescription.
yeah,
So if their prescription is one injection a week, every week, I know people aren't doing that.
yeah.
They're doing it every 8 days or every 9 days or every
They're
10
getting a little bit
days.
more out of that pen.
Yeah. And then I know people are using the golden dose as well. So the
Yes.
little bit that's left over, they're taking a syringe, they're taking that out, and they're injecting that as, a double up, or they take it for an extra week. So we
Yeah,
know that that's not recommended because we don't know the exact dose there. Uh,
yeah,
we don't know if it's doing anything. It's not a safe way to take medicine, but people didn't talk about it. And I think now people are talking about it. We see it a lot more on social media.
yeah.
I love it when people talk to me about it because, you know, as practitioners, as healthcare professionals, we can only do
Mm.
with what's in front of us.
Yeah,
And when people are being honest with me and they're sharing these things, and we talked about the shame and the stigma and the guilt,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I just want, if anyone's listening to this, I want to say this is normal behavior. Please talk to your healthcare professional about it. They're not
yeah,
going to be shocked.
yeah,
They shouldn't be telling you off, and they shouldn't be making you feel bad about it,
yeah.
but they
It's
can work
normal.
alongside you.
And the thing is, well, even with weight loss injections, it's okay to eat crap sometimes. We're human.
Yeah.
How can we remove all the goodness out of our life? But again, you feel guilty because you're like, oh God, I'm taking this injection. I shouldn't be eating it. And that's not how the injection works. It
Mm,
works alongside your lifestyle, your existing lifestyle.
mm,
So all the clients of mine that had Christmas and they're like, we literally overdid it. And I was like, well, you're not the only one. I overdid it. Everyone else overdid it. It doesn't matter whether you've got diabetes, whether you've got, just high cholesterol, you've got PCOS, you've got obesity. We all work in the same way. We're all human. So we're not
mm,
going to eat. We're going to do things out of the comfort zone, out of our norm, eat more
mm,
chocolate. And that is expected and that is okay. Um, and then we just realign ourselves come January.
mm,
It's just normal. But I think there's a huge amount of guilt associated with I'm trying to lose weight, but I also ate. And I'm like, you have
mm.
to give yourself a break sometimes. If you carried on with this behavior and your mince pies followed you through to January, yeah, I would have a problem with it. But 9 out of 10 times I'm like, no, no, just deal with it. Don't worry about it. It's not
Yeah.
something to worry about.
Absolutely. And it's just I think normalizing it is so important and it's recognizing that, as you say, we all do it. There
Mm,
are ebbs and flows in life, and this is completely normal.
yeah,
Some days we want to eat more, some days we want to eat less, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. So we've got fiber trends for
yes,
2026. We've got more conversations about microdosing Manjaro and
yeah,
Ozempic, and it's
yeah,
getting to deal with that. We're thinking about people choosing their Manjaro and Ozempic differently,
yeah.
maybe if they've used it
Yeah.
before. Is there anything else that you think is going to pop up in 2026?
Well, something that's been popping up recently that I've seen is a lot of doctors taking Ozempic and Manjaro
Mm,
and linking taking that to the perimenopause and menopause. And I
mm,
feel quite uncomfortable about that because women are naturally gaining weight in the perimenopause phase. We know that. That's not that it's obviously a shock to your system if you don't know the science behind it. But for most professionals, you'll know that there is a weight gain journey for every single woman involved. Your
Mm,
estrogen levels are declining, your fat cells are multiplying, we're trying to get more estrogen, you're left with fat, and it's significantly around your stomach.
mm,
I am seeing an incredible amount of doctors talking about their journey, but I
mm,
don't see the lifestyle that follows the journey. So I really do think that if you are going to talk about taking it, you have to talk about the lifestyle changes that you're making. So the whole context of what you're doing is live. At
mm,
the moment, what I'm feeling is if I was a perimenopausal lady and I'm rapidly gaining weight, then this option is available to me. And that feels quite scary for me as a dietitian at the
mm,
moment because I always feel doctors have a bigger voice, a bigger reputation. They have that rapport. You trust your doctor.
mm,
And I'm worried that we might be straying people down a different road that they don't need to go down and
mm,
thinking, I can fix this and I can help my menopausal symptoms with weight loss injections.
mm. It's so interesting you say that. I was at a talk the other evening for Ramadan,
Okay.
and it was led by a diabetes specialist doctor. And I find I don't know what your experience of this is, and I know this is me painting with broad brushstrokes now. But the conversation was, let's take a holistic view. The holistic view was um, multiple comorbidities. So,
Hmm.
diabetes, high blood pressure, vascular disease, cardiovascular disease. Um, and then it was medication.
Okay.
And I was thinking, I was sat there and I was thinking, okay, well, if this is really a holistic approach, then why are we not talking about sleep? Why are we not talking about food? Why are we not talking about movement? Why are we not talking about stress management? Why are we not talking about support networks and relationships and how they interplay into us looking after ourselves? If we're going to be holistic, let's be holistic.
Yeah.
Um, but part of me wonders, is it medicalizing something that's really natural?
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think although it's natural, I like the fact that we are now deeming it as medical, okay?
Mm,
Because with the effects of the menopause, we now have stats to how many women leave the workplace because of lack of support.
mhm,
So it's not just, oh, we're going through a phase. This is causing a huge toll just on the economy, let alone the life of people. But the whole economy is, you see women in the workforce leaving at a particular age. And so there is a big impact. But we now have food for menopausal women, supplements for menopausal women. People are monetizing on the word menopause,
mhm,
and it's becoming expensive and
mhm,
leading people in the wrong direction. So I think we just need to bring it back a little
mhm,
bit of weight loss injections are not a part of menopause management.
mhm,
Okay, they're actually not. We have no nice guidance on it. We have no, there's no white paper on this. We don't have guidance to say if you're going through the menopause, you should be taking weight loss injections. We
mhm,
do have that on HRT. We do have that on, mental health support and other medications, but we don't have it on this. So I don't think it should be used unless we have all the other comorbidities and actually they're making the menopause worse or vice versa. We don't know how these things are working. But
mhm,
if you do qualify for it, okay, regardless of the menopause, you qualified for it. But if you have nothing and you're gaining weight and it's obviously no one wants to gain weight, it never feels great. I don't think weight loss injections are the way forward. I really don't because you're messing up your metabolism in the menopause phase, in the perimenopause phase anyway. You're
mhm,
losing muscle mass. You add an injection onto that, we're rapidly losing muscle mass. You're
mhm,
not sleeping, your joints are aching, you're not doing weight-bearing exercise. I can't see how this woman's going to have the best experience on the injection.
mhm,
The only thing she's going to see is numbers going down. Her metabolism, no.
mhm. And it's almost thinking about what's your exit strategy.
Yeah,
Yes, the weight may go down.
yeah,
Then what?
yeah.
You know, Go on.
But who's monitoring it all? I mean, which
Mm,
GP's got time to call you in once a week to do your weights and to actually, and I'll tell you what, I've been into a lot of GP surgeries. No one's got body composition scales. So how are we monitoring this weight loss? How do we know if it's fat, if it's muscle? Very few GP surgeries will have body composition scales. I
mhm,
know for a fact the NHS doesn't own any. You
mhm,
know, there's 7, 8 thousand pound scales. No one's investing in them. But that's the only scale that gives us some accuracy in weight and muscle.
mhm.
Sorry, muscle and fat. So how, I don't know. I don't think we've got good practice going on where
Yeah,
they've been administered. So I think this year we're going to see a lot of it in menopausal ladies, and it's
mm,
going to be a shock because next year we'll probably be like, okay, we've just, lost a lot of muscle mass in our population.
yeah. So maybe the buzzwords for 2027 are going to be muscle mass.
Well, it'll be muscle mass and hello protein one more
Oh,
time.
back to protein, full circle.
Mhm.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, something that I find myself having a conversation with other healthcare professionals with at the moment, people that are maybe prescribing these weight loss injections, I'm saying, what are people's expectations? Are
Yeah.
they happy that this may be a lifelong medication? Are you happy to inject yourself once a week for the rest of your life? If not, what is your exit strategy and how realistic is that exit strategy? Because at the beginning of the journey, you need to know what the end looks like.
Yes, 100%. You 100% need to know what the end looks like because then we work towards that. I'd also like a bit more education around what the doctors are doing so we can be on board with them to support them where practices need supporting,
Mhm.
but to also call it out and be like, I don't think this is right, and you're leading your clients down the wrong path.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. So we've got some fantastic predictions there for 2026. Now, if there is anybody listening to us and, we're in January, we're in the new year, and maybe they have made some commitments to themselves, maybe they're trying out some changes with their nutrition or just general health and well-being,
mm,
and they're not going to plan. Do you have any top tips to share that can help people with making behavior changes around health and well-being?
yeah, I personally always promise myself I'll take all my supplements from January. I
Mm,
literally, and then I get really upset when I find expired ones. I'm like, gosh, I double down on them so I can finish them. I don't want to waste my supplements.
mm,
And what I've learned is to habit stack. Whatever I do in life, I habit stack it.
mhm,
So, for example, my supplements, I put them in a bottle. I can't take tablets. I have to take liquid or powdered supplements. I literally gag. So I have found the best powdered supplements for me.
mhm,
I then take them as I go to the gym, and I go to the gym at least 5 times in the week.
mhm,
So I've habit stacked that.
mhm,
But if I don't go to the gym on those 2 days, I've got a secret stash in my handbag. So
mhm,
where I always make sure that when I'm out and about, I've got that stash, I put it into water and I have it. So
mhm,
that's the way I do habit stacking. Also for evening, I always take my makeup off in the evening. So
mhm,
when I do that, wherever my makeup removers and things are, I put my magnesium there. I
mhm,
put everything there. So when I'm doing one thing, I manage to do the other.
mhm,
Make my tea in the morning. When I boil the kettle, I do my warm up as it's boiling and it
mhm,
stays there for a little while. And that exercise means as soon as I've grabbed it, I go, I'm in the gym. I don't need to do that extra warm up.
mhm,
Now, this is important for clients that aren't moving and aren't going to the gym, but you want to do that 5 minute workout.
mhm,
Get a kettlebell as your doorstop and just sit there and lift it for those 5 minutes every single day.
mhm,
Those things add up massively. They make such a big difference. I've told people to keep a resistance. I've got a resistance band on my table, and
mhm,
I just do resistance band workouts whilst I'm sat there because it makes the world of a difference. So you don't need to physically go into gyms, you don't need to go out for a walk. Everything can be done in seated position should you wish to have it. So for me, it's all about habit stacking. When you want to do something, pin it to something that's already going on.
mhm, mhm,
And my last example for this is when I wanted to go to the gym at night. I used to put all my clothes by my bed, and I actually used to
Mhm.
put my sports bra on and go to bed because in
Mhm.
the morning, the thing that stopped me from going is having to take my clothes off and be like, oh my God, it's so cold in the morning.
Mhm.
I just don't want to do it. So I'd put half of it on in the night, and my
Mhm.
clothes were right by my bedside. So the minute I walk out, I pull everything on and I'm ready to go to the gym. I've
Mhm.
had occasions where I've put all my clothes on and not actually gone to the gym, but I'm like, well, at least I tried. I had my gym kit on. So habit stacking is like gold dust for me. Everything I need to do in life, I stack it.
Fantastic. So all your new desired behaviors are then linked to the existing established behaviors
Yeah.
to make them more routine.
Yes.
Fantastic. And I'm also hearing here, we're talking about habit stacking, um, but some of the things I often talk to people about setting yourself up for success
Yeah.
by being your own architect.
Yes.
And by that, what I mean is you just gave some beautiful examples there. Having your gym kit right there, ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, Having supplements everywhere. So
Hmm.
that if they're missed in the kitchen, then they're in the bag or they're in the locker or they're at the desk. It's making things so they almost it's make it easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I say to people sometimes, okay, well, what's a biscuit tin doing on the side? If you don't want biscuits, if you don't want a snack, let's put that away, but let's bring something else out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Design your life, design your environment for success.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I mean, we've already got two there. So habit stacking, designing the environment.
Yeah.
The one that I was thinking of here, and it kind of relates to a question that we've been asked. So one of the questions was, with so much to digest, no pun intended, what one or two pieces of tech would you recommend we invest in 2026? And I saw this and I thought, pen and paper. You know what? Tech is lovely. Don't get me wrong. I love a good piece of tech, but sometimes I think pen and paper, a
Yeah.
journal,
Yeah.
a sticky note, just I've got scraps of paper everywhere.
Yeah.
But there is a power in putting the pen, the pencil to the paper and writing.
Totally agree.
Mm,
Totally agree with you. I've tried a lot of tech. I really have, from smart watches to the Aura Ring. And well, you know what it does? It's time to input data. I don't have the time or the will. And then I'm like, "Oh, it missed my workout. I actually got the workout in. So is my score actually correct?" And
mm,
it sends you in a spiral.
mm,
Sometimes it's just got to be basic. You wake up in the morning, do you feel good? Doesn't matter how many hours you get. Do you actually feel well rested and awake? Even
mhm,
if you don't, tell yourself you do and get on with the day because the power of the mind is the biggest power that we own.
mhm.
So, and journaling and taking that time out to do that. I love that. I think I'm tired of tech, but I just saw that you've got a monitor on now recently.
Yes.
Tell me more because that is something that would honestly, well, it would drive me bonkers. It would lead to habit change immediately because I'd be like, oh, no, I'm not going to have that anymore.
So for anyone who is following my Instagram, I am trialing one of the new glucose sensors from one of the diabetes companies. I'm not allowed to say which one, but there's going to be some new glucose sensors coming out this year. And this is great because it's going to mean that there's more on the market. It drives down the price because of more competition. It progresses the science. It progresses the technology, so we get more accurate data. So I'm all for this. Um, but so I like to try them out. So when I'm talking to people about them and I'm making recommendations, I know what I'm talking about. I can see the science and I can read the studies. But what is it like rolling over in bed and wanting to rip it out at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, and you said your alarm had gone off on the thing and you couldn't switch it off.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, and I know this is a beta version. It's not the final
Yeah.
version. So I know there's already developments with the app that goes with this sensor. Um, but yeah, I think pieces of tech are really, really useful
Yeah.
for a specific reason. So for glucose sensors, I might recommend to someone do a 2 week trial, get the data, step away.
Would that
It,
be with or without diabetes?
I would say with diabetes,
Okay.
because the best data is in diabetes. We
Okay.
know the data outside of diabetes just doesn't stand up. And actually, the data is probably showing us that it can cause mental health situations. So it can
Yeah.
lead people to worry about
Yeah.
something that doesn't need worrying about.
Mm,
Um, but if we come back to the pen and paper, you mentioned journaling. Love a
yeah.
good journal. And
Yeah.
journaling, there's no right or wrong. That's what I love about journaling. It just it can be 2 words, it can be a line, it can be war and peace.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And it really gives you that time to reflect and look back at how much life changes and how your thoughts change, your practices change, your behavior changes. I loved having a dated journal because I do go back and I read what I was doing maybe this time last year, and I was like, oh my God, you're going through an incredible amount. Look how far you've come. Or, okay, life was really good. We need to bring that back in. That energy needs to come in. So it really does give you a bit of direction to go forward. And it's the cheapest form of therapy. Really is the cheapest form.
Absolutely, absolutely. And pen and paper can also be used for tracking. If we
Yeah.
if we think about the most simple form of tracking, a star chart.
Yeah.
Star charts are not just for children. I'm a firm believer that star charts are for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the satisfaction of just doing that
Tick
tick,
it
of
off.
building
Yeah.
that habit, of creating, going from a new habit that you're habit stacking to something that is just ingrained and part of the
Absolutely.
process.
Love
You
that.
don't need to spend money to do this. It is a piece of paper and a
Yeah.
pen, maybe a
Yeah.
ruler.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Are there any other sort of hacks that you would like to share? I mean, we've just gone through a lot there. We've gone through tech or no tech, pen and paper, habit
Yeah.
stacking, creating the right environment,
Yeah.
journaling.
Yeah. So big thing for me
Mm,
is I'm trying to reduce my processed food intake,
mm,
finally. And when I say processed food, it's not the actual junk, but I am known to buy a jar of pasta sauce because I can't be bothered to make it, or I need a quick meal, or, instead of making the guacamole, I'll buy a ready-made one. So
mm,
what I'm consciously trying to do is not necessarily make the pasta myself because I still don't have the time for that, but
mm,
really read the ingredients labels to see
mm,
if I can find cleaner labels.
mm,
And it's encouraged me to actually go back to the basics of nutrition,
mm,
which we learn, and that was food labels.
mm,
But I've just never given it a thought. I go with the same brand because I know the family loves the taste. And so now I've become a bit more mindful on food labeling
mm,
and how I'm working. And I say that with a huge amount of caution
mm,
because the biggest trend we're going to see
mm,
this year going into next year is labeling
mm,
because M&S have already started their 5 ingredient, 8 ingredient things. And I
mm,
really want to make it clear to the public that that doesn't mean it's a good product.
mm,
Taking away substances that are really important, like vitamins and minerals, to have a
mm.
clean cut label is
Yeah,
actually globally dangerous.
yeah. We need fortification in some of
Yeah.
these foods.
Yes, we really do. Because we've already had this problem. That's why fortification was involved. And,
Mm,
that's why we went down that road of fortifying food because we had deficiencies that we picked up on. And we thought, actually, we can add iron to serum, we can add, calcium to different products. So to remove them now in a population that's already on the verge of deficiencies because
mm.
they've removed milk from their diet, etc., we're going to add problems. So I think I'm really into going back and reading food labels for the first time ever. And I'm encouraging all my clients to do that. If you're buying guacamole and it says 68% avocado, where's the rest of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Where's the rest of my guac?
Yeah, and the same as like nut butter. If it's not 99% nuts,
Mm,
then you got to question what's in that product. And this is the
mhm.
foundations of nutrition. This is the basics of nutrition. So here I am in 2026 going back to being a student.
Love that. I love that. So almost like a reset moment. It's, not following the old habits, but, it's okay to follow old habits, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's worth just questioning it and having a little reset moment.
Yeah, I'm not here and I'll never be that dietitian. to tell anyone to go into the kitchen and make food from scratch. If you can, I'm in awe of you because I can't do that. But I'm all for jarred and canned things. But let's just actually take a little glance at what we're having because there are better alternatives out there.
Mhm.
We are just doing what we've known. So
Mhm.
we can change that and you can still have a jarred product, but you can really remove the ultra processing part of it.
Excellent. Oh, fantastic. Reshma, I am so, as always, every time we have a conversation, I love it. So I'm so glad that we got to do this today. Thank you so much. Now, if
Always a
people
pleasure.
are looking for you, where can they find you, please?
I think the easiest place is through my website. So it's thedietitian.com or the Dietitian Global on Instagram. I'm active on that and it's me who controls everything. So I'll definitely pick up any messages or emails that come through.
Excellent. And once again, if people didn't hear me at the start, please go and follow Resh on Instagram. It's amazing.
Thank you so
Thank you
much for having
so
me, Will.
much. Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.